So, good morning. I know it's Thursday, unlike last Tuesday when I didn't realize it was Tuesday. Anyway, hope you guys are having a great week. Super excited today. We're going to get to talk to, in our hometown, a local owner or owner of a local Pilates studio. But it's just like so important for women. It's important for everyone, but Pilates just brings certain, I guess. Oh shoot! I need to turn that off. Pilates just brings extra benefits, I guess, for women, but I don't want to get into too much of that and steal Elizabeth's thunder. So I'm just kind of hanging out and waiting for everybody to. Oh my gosh! And I'm gonna have trouble with the phone today. Perfect. But just waiting for everybody to kind of get in here. So I don't know where they are, leaving me hanging. Oh, there's Kate. So anyway, that's kind of what we're going to do today. And I am a past Pilates person. I haven't done it for years. And so I'm kind of excited because I'm looking forward to getting into her studio and kind of getting back into it. So, hey, how are you?
Good.
Good. I said, you left me hanging again. It's like your enjoyment for the day is to watch me flounder at the beginning of live.
I didn't even see you.
Yeah. Yeah, but you'll watch it later and laugh. So, you know. Anyway.
Well, yeah, so we're going to be joined by Elizabeth here in a little bit, or hopefully soon. But this is her first time doing a live. So if we need to like log in, log out, because we need to talk her through how to get on here, that's totally fine. But yeah, so today we're going to be talking about Pilates, and not just like what is Pilates and all that stuff, because I think a lot of people have an understanding of that, but really why every woman should try it. Try to introduce Pilates as a form or into their exercise routine because of all these benefits. So we're going to really get into the benefits of Pilates, especially for women and for women hormonal health, which should be really fun. And now, Mom, you have a background in Pilates.
Well, I did it. I mean, like I was just saying, I did it. I'm super excited to kind of get back into it. I left it for a while and I don't know why. I am not a yoga human. I'm too self-conscious of a person to want to contort my body into different positions so that I feel like people are laughing at me. That's just my own problem, but yoga just was never my thing, for whatever reason. But Pilates came out of dancing. When I was a dancer many years ago, Pilates was a way to keep the stretch, keep the flow, really develop the core, and so that you can. Oh, there she is. So anyway, it was just a way for me to do that, and so I guess unfortunately over time I don't think there was a Pilates studio really close. So we're just kind of waiting. So Kate, can you just walk her through real quick, like how to hit the button to join? It says she's joined. Hi, Elizabeth.
So did you go ahead and request her, or did you add her into the?
No, you didn't tell me that.
You have the ability
How do I do that?
At the bottom.
Okay.
It'll say like request.
Oh, invite. Got it.
Yep. Sorry, invite. So go ahead and invite her in.
I did that. Okay, cool. Okay, so anyway, yeah, so I loved it, and I loved the machines called a reformer, right? That was my thing, and I'm not I've kind of shied away from mat Pilates because it felt a little like yoga to me. So I'm just super excited to now like get back into it. It's just, one of those things that I loved it. I loved it for so long. Ah, yay!
Hi! You did well.
Thanks. I'm a newbie.
That's okay.
Oh,
I was just a few weeks ago. I was as well. Kate still has to walk me through this social media nightmare. So
I had to have my 11-year-old get this whole setup for me today.
I love it. I love it.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, we were just talking while we were hanging out for a second. We were just talking about why we decided to choose like Pilates as the form of exercise we really wanted to dive into, and mainly because of the benefits specifically to women. So, we want to open the floor to you and just have you do a little bit of an introduction, your story, what led you to Pilates, and where you are now.
Wow, is that all? Okay.
In 30 seconds or less. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
No.
All right. Well, first off, I'm on my porch, and it's like 99 degrees in South Carolina with 100% humidity. So if you see me like pass out, you'll know why. Are you in Minnesota?
I'm currently in Minnesota. Like I said, my husband melts in the Charleston heat, so
yeah.
We're up here for a couple of months. And then, but I live on DI. So I
guess I was living in Minnesota. That's where I'm from. And I had just had my first of 4 daughters and wanted to get my body back. You know, after you have a baby, you've got some separation of the abdominal muscles. You might have some pelvic floor issues to deal with. And so I, not really thinking about what might be good for my body, I kind of just jumped back into what I had done before having a child. So I started back with like tennis lessons, and it was not the place that like a new mom who's, fatigued and tired and had diastasis recti and had some pelvic floor issues needed to be. So I kind of started exploring, what in the Minneapolis area was available to me as something more low impact, but I had lived in DC working in politics when I was a bit younger, and Pilates was really popular out there with some of my friends on Capitol Hill. So I had like a knowledge of what it was, but not, hadn't really explored it on my own prior to having a child. So got into that in Minneapolis. My life brought me to Charleston, where I am now. And I knew I didn't want to go back into politics or advertising where I had been working before having my first daughter. And I thought, there's not a lot of options here in Charleston proper, Mount Pleasant specifically. And so I saw an opportunity for me to start my training and share it with other people. So that's where I started 12 years ago. Wow. And I've now just in the past 15, 16 months finished opening my 3rd studio. So Sullivan Island, Daniel Island and Mount Pleasant. So lots of female clients, lots of clients with the issues I just mentioned, diastasis recti, pelvic floor issues, some rehabilitative issues, shoulders, knees, hips. And then we're seeing a big influx of men too. So even though we're talking women specific today, I got to throw out a little props to the men who've been brave enough to come in and try Pilates out too.
That's awesome. That's great. It's funny, there aren't many Minnesotans in the Charleston area, so it's kind of like, and I know you're halfway to being a Charlestonian at 12 years or
well, I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever do the y'all or get rid of I said oofta to my daughter the other day, and she was like, "Wow, what does that mean, Mama? Is it bad?" She was showing me an injury on her finger, and I was like, "Yeah, oofta. Like, how are we gonna take care of this?" So I don't know if I'll ever let the Minnesota go.
I know. My O is very strong right now, so it's,
I think during this conversation, mine might. I don't know when you're like, after a couple of glasses of wine, or when you're with a fellow Minnesotan, you're just like, ooh, and the weather.
I know.
Yeah,
so
you can't
true.
help it. You can't help it.
I know.
No.
It's funny.
But it's fun.
Funny.
I love it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Were you gonna?
No, go ahead. We do a lot of this.
But my mom and I have a different kind of experience. So she was always Pilates and not yoga. And I've always been yoga and not Pilates. And it's interesting, like, so postpartum, that you were talking about, that's kind of where you found Pilates, because I don't think, I mean, and if for anybody listening that doesn't know what diastasis recti is, basically when the very basics, when you get pregnant, your abs separate. This is natural. It happens to everybody. Your abs separate as baby grows. And after you give birth, you do have to heal that separation. And a lot of times, if you don't do it correctly, that's when we end up with this pooch, as we all like to call it, right? And then also we can have like issues with our pelvic floor or back pain, things like that, because our abdominal wall is not strengthened properly. Now, I knew none of this going into or going into having my first daughter, daughter. And so it was really interesting to learn about it afterwards. And I started to incorporate specifically Pilates, like just not Pilates core exercises after birth. I've never done a reformer or anything like that, but I wanted to ask you, for people that listen, like, what are the main differences between yoga and Pilates?
Sure. Well, similar in some ways, right? I mean, you're connecting yourself to like-minded people, so you're establishing a community, which is really helpful, for new moms or new transplants to town. If you're embarking on like a health and wellness journey, it's nice to have that community just around you. So I never want to tell people like don't do yoga, because I think that there are benefits beyond, just the movement. But that's what I would say is, in yoga, you're focusing on the movement. You're letting your belly expand with air. It's a mind-body connection. And even though you're, maybe in a group, you're with people, in my experience in yoga, I haven't had like someone come and correct me, because sometimes the classes are really large. So that's something in my studio specifically we focus on, is small groups. So you're really getting to know these other 5 or 6 people that are with you. And throughout the class, you're having someone come and, put their hands on you if you're comfortable with that, and give you a tactile form of correction or, encouragement, if you will. So I think apart from that, then we move into, just the structure of how you're holding your core. In yoga, you're doing down dogs. You might be doing some extreme extension, like a back bend. We wouldn't do that unsupported in Pilates. So that's the biggest difference, like especially with someone with diastasis recti. We're working on bringing those muscles back together and hopefully closing that gap. If you're not supporting those muscles and you're encouraging further, separation, that can be detrimental to repairing your body after birth. Now, in Pilates, we're always focusing on core. So you move from the core first, and we really stress, don't go out of a certain range of motion just to make a movement. So do the movement with your core supported. And once that core is supported, then go into a range of motion that doesn't take you out of this core stability. So lastly, I would just mention the breathing. In yoga, I was always taught, and I'm by no means a yoga expert, so I was always taught, you kind of fill your belly with air and kind of move through it. In Pilates, we really talk about, your core as a cylinder. You've got the top of the core, which is your diaphragm, the sides of the cylinder, which are going to be your abdominal muscles, your rib cage. We sometimes call it like the rib cage corset. And then you have the bottom of your core, which is your pelvis. And so we cue, lift the bottom of your core first, close the ribs, draw your belly button in, and then breathe. So you're using all the sides, top and bottom and sides of your core before you move. So we're really strengthening here before we even get to extension of limbs and the body. So kind of a long-winded explanation, but that's what I see as sort of the main differences between yoga and Pilates. And then if you're working on a reformer, which I think that you mentioned that you had some experience with, those then can be supported movements. So you have your feet maybe in a strap, or you have your hands in a strap, and you're connected to springs and pulleys. So you can also create tension, which is going to help build bone density back, especially for women who are dealing with, you know, any kind of bone loss. It's nice to have that tension and resistance to build up bone density, bone mass, and also, you know, help build muscle, because we do tend to lose muscle faster as we age. And so I find that, you know, our clients vary. It's a wide range. People in their 20s do Pilates all the way up to, I have clients who have been doing Pilates for years, and they're in their 80s and they're in great shape, and they have great posture and breathing technique. And so it really, I mean, it spans the spectrum of age and gender, and no one doesn't benefit from spinal mobility, core support, pelvic support, increased lung capacity, and then again, that health and wellness community. So I forgot where I was going with that, but anyway, to your question, what's the difference between yoga and Pilates? That lies somewhere in there.
Yeah. Wouldn't you say, like, it's more, I mean, I just think back, because I started it because I was a dancer and singer. And so, you know, all of that core supports both of those things. And so I think the focus in yoga is not about your core. You know what I'm saying?
It's about movement, and it's about breathing, and it's about that mind-body connection. It's so people are like, oh yeah, Pilates, it's just like yoga. And, you know, again, you don't want to get me started, obviously, but it's different. It's different. And there's also a big difference between, you know, mat Pilates and reformer Pilates. Like, once someone goes from mat to reformer, they're like, oh, I'm never going back. Because mat Pilates is actually really different. It can be really difficult. Not that reformer Pilates isn't, but it's just a little bit more fun.
It is more fun. And you do have, it's almost, it's assisted, you know, like there's something there that when you can't have someone, you know, guiding your every move, making sure you're doing everything correctly, you have this assistance from the machine that allows you to kind of remember that instruction for how I'm going to do this movement. And then it keeps you in form so that, you know, you're getting the benefits from doing that movement.
Yes.
So,
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, with the machine, there's more that you can do. For instance, if you're trying to heal a diastasis recti, you know, you shouldn't be in a C curve, like a crunch. Like sit-ups would be the absolute worst exercise you could do for diastasis recti, because you're crunching this way, muscles that are trying to go back together this way. So, you know, on the reformer, you can put your feet in straps and you're supported, and you can work lower body and abs without having the upper trunk join, if that makes sense. So yeah, the reformer offers a lot more in terms of range of motion and options for exercise.
No, it's great. And, you know, and I mean, I know, I mean, like, it benefits anyone. I mean, really, truly, like, you know, both genders, and anyone can do this, and at any level, like, you know, you don't need to be a super active human or anything. You can just come in and start gaining the benefits from practicing
I think
Pilates.
The biggest hurdle really is like picking up the phone and calling us and saying, how do I start? Right? That's like the biggest hurdle for people, because once you get in, I mean, we'll guide you through it. You know, the machine is there. Feet and straps are supported, or your hands are supported in arm work. I think that everyone thinks I need to already be in shape before I go and do Pilates. And, you know, if I could tell, you know, one thing about Pilates to everyone, is that doesn't matter ability level, body shape, you know, everyone is capable of starting and being really great at moving their body with this method.
We always, So Pilates has always been really interesting to me too recently. So if you know a little bit about like the women that we help, a lot of them have like cortisol dysregulations, a lot of stress induced issues. And so a lot of people turn to yoga for stress management exercise, because when we're over exercising, that's just another stressor on our body. When we're doing high intensity workout, another stressor on our body. So one of the things we tell a lot of our clients, like if we're in high cortisol, if that's what's going on in your body, you need low stress exercise.
Yep.
And it's so funny because I think people turn to yoga and forget about Pilates, but the really cool thing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like, the really cool thing about Pilates
all right, so far.
Is that you get the benefit of the breath work, like yoga, but there's an added element, like for someone like me that really enjoys high intensity workout, that maybe gets a little bit freaked out when you tell me like, oh, I can't do that, like I'm gonna gain weight or I'm gonna get whatever. There is that strength component to Pilates that's very attractive for somebody that's really enjoying those workouts or uses workouts as like a stress reliever, but then they're like, oh, I can't do that high intensity. This is a really great option while keeping your cortisol levels like.
Absolutely. Well, and if you think about like that increase in cortisol, which is really like our body like trying to go in like to protection mode, right? And so exercise is just going to exacerbate that. When you're doing that like high impact, like, you know, so I see a lot of women who are like, well, in order to get fit, I have to be like, you know, I don't want to name names, but like CrossFit, something like that, where you're really, was that bad?
No,
it's funny.
Trust me, watch our lives. We say lots of stuff. We go, really? Can you say that?
So funny. No, but I see them, you know, like really working so hard to try and get to this, what they think is, you know, this optimal fitness level by hurting themselves or just overdoing it. So it's nice in Pilates that we can work these tiny muscles, right? Like we stay away from like quads and biceps. We're going to work like deep internal, like start at the pelvic floor, move to deep glute muscles, deep abdominal muscles, and you're going to be sore. You're going to get that sore feeling like I worked hard without taking those cortisol levels so high that your body is like, wait, I'm in like stress mode. I'm going to hang on to all this body fat because I, you know, fight or flight, right?
Yeah.
So that's the nice thing about Pilates. And again, I think you mentioned just like breath work and you mentioned singing earlier. You know, these are also just like added benefits. You like increase your lung capacity because we teach in Pilates lateral rib cage breath. So we teach like breathe your air into the back of the lungs and expand this way, not this way. So that helps singers, it helps athletes, and then probably like stressed out moms, right? Like who doesn't need, I mean, a nice deep breath now and again.
Yeah.
I'm doing it while you're talking. I'm remembering these things as you're saying them. I'm like, oh
yeah. Then think like pelvic floor, right? So some cues I give my clients in class, and I'm like, take this in the car with you, take this to the grocery store. If you like imagine if you were gonna sit down on a tennis ball, the lift that you would do to like keep yourself from meeting that tennis ball, that's the lift that, you know, that engagement that you want for your pelvic floor. And then people talk a lot about, you know, posture, because Pilates helps with that too. There's a trick that if you use your pinky finger and you press it down against the side of your chair or the side of your thigh, let's say you're at the grocery store standing in line, and you're like, oh, I feel, you know, slumped. I feel like my posture could be better. Take your pinky fingers and press them into the sides of your legs. And that's your optimal posture. It's pulling your shoulder blades together and taking your spine and just right through the top of the head.
making me feel really bad about my posture.
I think it looks great right now. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. I'm just a big head. I'm not. You can't see me, so you know.
Yeah, I can't judge you.
Very aware now. Very aware of my posture.
Well, I was gonna say, you know, that pelvic floor piece too, I think is really important. I mean, for women, and that you know, a lot of times we hear from women, you know, having difficulty having sex. You know, I'm having pain while having sex,
Yeah.
and it's like, you know, some of that comes from that pelvic floor not engaging properly. So you know, I mean, there's so many benefits.
So many benefits. Well, you think you're like, you know, all these people are just walking around with this pelvic floor, which is basically a bowl, right? That doesn't have a bottom. The bottom is just muscle. Right. So if you think like, what's holding everything in there? You have to, I tell my clients, I'm like, you know, think about this. It's amazing that there aren't more like people with prolapse.
Right.
It actually is pretty common. Pelvic floor dysfunction, one of those things being prolapse. You know, you really have to think like lift and use your pelvic floor as part of this core where all your work comes from here first and then the limbs. You know, there's that classic like, you know, lift with your knees, not with your back. You know, I wish we could tell people like lift with your pelvis, you know, before the rest of your body, because it's one of the, you know, deepest core muscles. And you know, once you learn to engage it, then it is very important to not keep it in that state of, you know, stress, but to learn how to relax it also. And that does tie into that like painful intercourse kind of segment, whereas, you know, you want to learn how to engage it and how to release it. So that also ties into incontinence issues. So, you know, that's huge for women. I hear that a lot. Like, you know, I can't jump on the trampoline with my kids because, you know, I pee my pants. You know, these are things that can be aided and improved with the work in Pilates, you know, again, focusing on that pelvic floor first. So.
We talk to just like another benefit too. We talk a lot about walking in general and how like these benefits of walking. People are always like, oh, for cardio, I have to do whatever. But Pilates, and this is from my research. I don't know this from experience, but what I've been reading is
tell
that
me
Pilates,
more, I'll tell you.
actually has very similar benefits to walking because the breath work is a little bit different than yoga, but the way you breathe in Pilates opens up the oxygen to the brain the same way that like a brisk walk or the walking, all the benefits of like your cognitive function, your creativity that improves, like all this stuff. And it's not that yoga, like when you're deep breathing, but it's a different kind of like cardio breath that you're getting, and it's the same. So there's a lot of similarities to like with Pilates and walking. So I just thought that was really interesting, and because we always walking,
I mean,
but
I think people are always amazed. Like, I'm doing this exercise laying down part of the time. Like, how can I possibly get any cardio benefit, any real muscle, you know, strengthening? But because you are working from deep within and using your exhale and your inhale as part of the exercise, you leave having that nice that boost that you get when you exercise, you know, that like that glow, the after workout glow. You get that, and people are always, you know, like, oh, I came in feeling super sluggish and kind of bummed out, and I'm leaving feeling like I can check all those items off my to-do list. So that's a really nice aspect of Pilates, and you don't have to get like super sweaty and, you know, carve out half of your day to do it. You can pop into a class for an hour and go back to work. Feeling energized. Maybe you can skip that afternoon cup of coffee. You know, it gives you the same endorphin benefit without the caffeine. And they're also, because maybe you're a newbie, have only done research on the reformer. You can actually do a whole cardio class in Pilates. We add what's called a jump board to the end of the machine, and you lay down and you spring away from it. So you're like doing these like tiny jumps away from the board. And it is one of the hardest cardio workouts, but it's all focused on the core. So you're not, exhausting the quads. You're not, running hunched over. You're in your form, you're laying down. We might do some on our sides to target the glutes, but it's the cardio aspect of Pilates on the reformer. I don't know. Have you ever tried jump board as a form of cardio? So
my brain, I'm about to start training for a marathon. I don't know why, but I've decided to do this. And I'm like, man, this would be great cross training.
It's amazing. Honestly, talk about lung capacity and cardiovascular benefits. This is, it's really, and not a lot of people know about it. It's not something like, not all studios have a jump board class. So we do just jump board classes, which is 50 minutes of cardiovascular exercise. Wow. I mean, it's the equivalent of swimming, basically.
Right.
But again, you do it laying down. So, yes, Steph just said, love me some jump board. I
have to come check this out. That sounds really fun.
We'll come next. I'm back next week, so we'll definitely pop in.
Oh, good. Yeah,
the two of us. So.
Love to have you and introduce you to jump board.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That sounds fun.
Well, Mom, is there any other questions or anything you want to wrap up?
No, I don't think so. I mean, for all the people that are in the Charleston area, go check this out. And we will also put information at the end of this live, like in the comments. We'll have all the information for the locations of the studios that you have and phone numbers, so they can call and say, hey, how do I get started? Yeah.
I do have a question. Do you guys do virtual classes for people who want to do mat Pilates? Or anything like that?
Yes, we will take. We took a break this summer. We'll be back doing that in the fall.
Cool. Okay.
We have a video library, so these pre-recorded mat videos that are from COVID, but we've kind of cataloged, and those are available for people. They buy a membership, they go out of town, they want to keep with their workout routine. They can use those. So check us out in the fall if online is more
is better.
Yeah. Well, we see people from all over the country. Our clients come from all over the country, so it's nice to be able to have a place to send them to say, look, this is a really great exercise that you can do, just from your home if they can't, or come to Charleston. Either way,
Yeah, we'd love to have you here. And in fact, we always have a running special. If you new to Pilates and you want to come in and give it a try, we do 3 sessions for $199. And that's a one-on-one session where you learn about your body. Maybe you have femurs that tend to rotate a certain way, and you can tell by how your shoes wear. Maybe they're wearing on the outside or the inside of the soles. So we kind of go over the machine, the basics, the history, what you're looking for, and maybe what your body even might need. So that's an always, all the time available resource for people. But then, yes, the online, I think it's a great way to connect with people, because we can do one-on-ones that way also, or we do Zoom classes. So you're still feeling like you're signing up with this community of online people.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Great. Yeah, that's great.
So needed. So.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thanks for joining. And yay, now you're good to go. You can do more of these now. You get it.
Give my 11-year-old a raise on getting me all set up.
I love it. Well, hopefully we'll meet in person sometime soon in the near future.
Would love that. Yeah, we'll show you some jump board.
Yeah, that'd be really fun. Well, thank you. Thanks very much.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.